RTX 5070 launch day today on the 20th. Is it going to be like a disaster, let's say the 5090 and the 5080? Let's find out. Stay tuned. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back once again to the channel. First time here, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Would appreciate it because YouTube's being an inner boob and they don't want to put our videos out like they're supposed to because of the new algorithm kind of thing. But anyway, you guys know the drill. You heard it from many different content creators here. So, no sense of me going on about that. That's not what we're here about today. We're here about the 5070 Ti, the Nvidia RTX 5070 Ti. I had to say it twice because I was kind of thinking, if I had to say it once, then you guys would probably click off and go to a different video. So, today, I don't want you to click off and go to a different video. We're going to go step by step, going through everything, piece by piece. I know I didn't do it on the live stream, yesterday? But today we're going to do it because today is launch day. This gives us an idea of where the prices are going or what they're going to be. So yeah, I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning making this video, so you know. Let's dive right into it and see what's cooking. Okay, now you made it to the action screen. The first thing we're going to be doing is a spec breakdown, a detailed analysis of the RTX 5070 features. We're here on Tech Power Up. Let's take a look and see what it's about. Knowing that I got the big cursor this time, I'm prepared, believe it or not. So it's going to be the processor of GB203. It's got 8,960 cores, 280 TMUs. It's got 128 ROPS, and it's got memory size at 16 gigabytes of GDDR7. And it's on a 256-bit bus. Now let's go ahead and scroll down. You can see the big picture of it. And believe it or not, they do not have a Founders Edition. And don't forget your drink and snacks, by the way. Nvidia decided not to do a Founders Edition, so you're not going to see it looking like this. So this says the GeForce 5070 Ti is an enthusiast class graphics card by Nvidia. Launched today, February 20th, 2025, built on a 5 nanometer process and based on a GB203 graphics card processor. It is the GB203-300-A1 variant. It'll support DirectX 12, assure all modern games run on GeForce RTX 5070 Ti, which I'm going to have a problem with. Because for the simple fact that we'll get into the problem situation. Let's go into the pros. So we're going to do the pros and then we'll do the cons. So as we can see, the transistors, 45,600 million transistors. The density is 120 by 120.6 millimeters, and the die size is 378 millimeters. And it was supposed to be announced. It was announced January 6th, but today it launches, and it says the product is going to be at $750. It says $749. I say $750. Whatever. But it's on the bus interface of PCIe 5.0 x16 if they can get the software to work correctly. Well, we'll get into that. You just got to stay towards the end to hear the cons. So it's got a base clock of 2300 megahertz, and it's got a boost clock of 2452 megahertz, and also a memory clock from 1750 megahertz, 28 gigabits per second effective. That means if you bring the memory clock up to that, you get the full boat. It's not hard to do that because mine, well, I'm not going to compare it just yet, so you have to wait. We'll get to it later. The memory size is 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and the bandwidth is 896 gigabits per second, or gigabytes, whatever. I know you guys like when I do that, and say the whatever, you're like, Jay, doesn't it matter? Yeah, it does. The bandwidth does matter. I mean, overall bandwidth, you got to know what it's doing. So, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty big bandwidth compared to, well, we'll get to the end of that. We'll talk about it later. Right now, we're talking about the specs. Shading units is 8,960. We already said the TMUs, the ROPs. SM count is 70. Tensor core is 280. RT core is 70. It's got an L1 cache of 128 kilobytes per SM. And L2 cache is 64 megs. So, moving on. It gives you the length, it's a dual slot, it's 304 millimeters in length. That means 12 inches, and the width is 137 millimeters, 5.4 inches, and the height alone is 48 millimeters, 1.9 inches. TDP. You notice I didn't say TBP. TDP. 300 watts. Suggested PSU is 700. I would suggest, because the TDP might be a little bit more than 300, I would suggest to go to 850 watt PSU. That's just my opinion. So, the output is one HDMI 2.1B and 3 display ports 2.1B. That's pretty good. I like how they got the 2.1 in there. That is really good. So the power connector is the 12x6 high power, the 16-pin connector. And the DirectX, you guys know, it's got OpenGL, well, DirectX 12.2 max. It's got OpenGL 4.6, OpenCL 3.0, it's got Vulkan 1.4, it's got CUDA 10.1. That must have been something new they added in. I'll have to look into that, and I'll let you guys know later. Probably on the live stream. Who knows? Make sure you're there for the live stream as well. Tomorrow, or Saturday. My bad. Because tomorrow is Graphics Card Nightmares. You have to stay for that. Whole bunch of things cooking this week with these new graphics cards, just to let you know. And the shader model 6.8. 6.8. So, theoretical performance, the pixel rate is 313.9 gigapixels. Texture rate is 686.6 gigatextiles. FP16 half is 43.94 T-flops 1:1. Not bad. The FP32 float is 43.94 T-flops. Not too bad. FP64 double, 686 G-flops, 1:64. Very good. I think it's good. And we can take and look down, and it says that the ray tracing cores are 4th gen, tensor cores are 5th gen, the NV encoders 9th gen, and the NV decoder is 6th gen. Pure Video HD, not too bad. Takes Windows 10 and Windows 11 for the latest software. Just to let you know that too. And the Nvidia app if you ever get to it. And they got a bunch of models. It seems that they got a bunch of models here that you guys can go through the list, and you can go through it on Tech Power Up and see the list. I mean, they got a bunch of lists right here for, the 5070 Ti. They got the Asus Prime 5070 Ti, which this one right here This is the one that they're using as their Founders Edition right now. So that's what you're going to be looking at right here. That's what you see most of the reviewers showing you for $750. But the OC model, from what I'm understanding, as I caught upon Jay's 2 cents, he said the OC model was $900. How, and guys, how they did that, I have no idea. Why they did that, I have no idea. So that's a question I can't answer right now, but I'm sure later on down the road that question's going to come about. Because these companies are going to have to answer up, why are we paying so much for this card? And there you can see the die right here, the GB203-300A1. Give you a big close-up of that. And the front ports, give you a close-up of that. Side, how it looks down the side. And the back side, so you can see what the back side looks like. Got a big old hole right here, and you got a big donut right here. So, and the thing is this. If you guys are looking very carefully, right here, right where the tip of my pointer is, how is this the OC model when half the reviewers are getting these models and half are getting the other model? See, this doesn't make sense. I noticed on some of the models that the reviewers were getting, they would have that switch right here, the mode switch, the P and the Q switch. That's supposed to be an OC switch. So, there's something totally wrong with the ones that got those graphics cards. I'm just pointing this out because nobody else is pointing it out, set and put. So, now that we've seen and did the analysis on the 5070 of what it's about, now let's go and see what the benchmarks are telling us on the market today. Okay, what we did was we found the benchmark on TechSpot. We always go here like normal. We're going to do the 16 game average. And if you want more details, then I'll leave a link in the description below where you can go and get all this information. So that way you can detail it and see what you think. So let's look at the analysis of this. This is about 1440p. I think it's on high settings, if I remember right. No, this is actually 1080p. My bad. I wanted to make sure I got it correct. This is for 1080p, 16 games, on high settings probably. So, looking at the 4080 Super being 177 on the high and it's being 139 on the 1%. You got the 5080, 175 on the high and 136 on the low. So the 4080 Super is faster than the 5080? Wow. Seriously, wow. But the 4080 and the 5080 are matching exactly the same. So the question is going to be, and I know this is going to go through y'all's mind, you're going to ask this question: is the 5080 the same as the 4080 at 1080p? That's the question right there. You're going to be asking. But we'll give you my thoughts at the end. But for now, let's just continue on and see what we can find out. Okay, so looking at the 5070 Ti, which is launching today, it's at the 164 FPS on the high and it's 127 on the low. But looking at the 7900 XTX being 170 on the high and 137 on the low, the 5070 Ti is not cutting it to beat the 7900 XTX at 1080p. Like I said, if you guys want to know about the 1440p or 4K, you can come onto this site and have a look for yourself. Hardware Unbox puts it all detailed and everything else, and I give credit to them. TechSpot, Hardware Unbox, I give them credit for this benchmark. Since I can't get my hands on the 5070 Ti, I give them all the credit in the world. I don't take the credit of this. They get all the credit. So I'm just showing, you can come over here and look for yourself. If you want to get some decent, great benchmarks, you can get it right here. And I'll make sure I leave the link in the description below. So, moving on through this, the 4070 Ti Super is 159 on the high, 125 on the low. 4070 Ti is 154 and 120. 7900 XTX, be glad that somebody didn't buy the 7900 XTX. It's 153 and 124. 4070 Super, jeez, 146 on the high and 114 on the low. My God. And that's not that far away from, that's only like 15-20% away from the 5070 Ti. And truthfully, that's not bad. That's real good, I think. I mean, wow. And then you get the 3090 is 140 to 112, and then you got my 4070, it's 126 to 98. And then that beats the 7800 XT. Ooh. Which is 125 and 102, but the thing is this, the 7800 XT has a 1% low that's higher than the 4070. Either way you look at it, they're going to trade blows between the two. I got them both. I sent one off to the neighbor and I got the 4070 here, so. But going down the stack, you can see the rest. Is the 5070 Ti going to be worth the price to performance? Well, that's going to be one thing that we're going to be investigating through either through this video or in future videos. We're going to be investigating it. So let's see what else we can find. Well, I thought about we showed you the 1080p chart. We'll show you the 1440p chart real quick. And what we'll do is we'll go over here. You can get a quick glance of it in case you just don't want to go to the page. And this is the 4K. So that's the 4K. Where it sits at 4K, it's at 79 FPS on the high and it's 162 on the low. So, and that's their 16 game average. So I would imagine this is 4K on high settings or overall settings. Can't really say high, medium, low because this is overall settings. So truthfully, I can't say it is what it is. 1440p, you can see right here. It's at 130 on the high and 104 on the low. So what you do is your analysis, let's see which way it's swinging. 79 on 4K. Okay, keep that in mind. 130 on 1440p. 154 on 1080p. So, this is how I gauge the graphics cards. By the total benchmark, you see from 4K, 1440p, and 1080p, where the strongest is in your FPS. So, that's how I gauged my 4070. was found out where the strongest spot was to the weakest. 4K was the weakest, 1440p was okay, but 1080p was it. That's my strongest. So this graphics card right now, and I hate to say this, and I know y'all don't want to hear this, but 1080p is the strongest resolution for this card. So even if you go 185 hertz, 1080p, and balanced everything out with the textures, I think it would run really well at 1080p. I think this would be a good 1080p card. Because I use, when I play my games, I play on an HD TV, which sits right in the middle of SDR and HDR. HD TV sits right in the middle. So I'm using an HD TV, a smart TV, and that sits at 1080p at 60 hertz. It sits right in the middle. So this way I can have a little bit of both sides, SDR and HDR, without having to go that route for HDR. I don't need to go that route because I got an HD TV, high definition TV. So it balances out. In the long run, it balances out. So looking at this and thinking about it, the way it looks is that 1080p is going to be its strongest for the 5070 Ti. That's just my thought about it and the performance test and everything else. Now, the price versus value. That's going to be another thing we're going to look into. Price versus value. Let's see what we can find. Okay, the best pricing cost per frame. Let's see what we got. The RTX 5070 Ti 750 MSRP is $9.49 per frame. And then you get the 7800 XT, that's $8.86 per frame. And then you got the 7700 XT, that's $8.63 per frame. 4070 Super is $9.75 per frame. And that's not too bad compared to the 5070 Ti. 7900 XTX is $10 per frame. 4070 Ti is $10.30 per frame. $10.30 per frame. The 4070 is $10.68 per frame. Wow, that's expensive. The 5080 is $10.98 per frame. The 4070 Ti Super is $10.98 per frame. So it looks like the 5080 and the 4070 Ti Super are meeting frame to frame. 4080 Super is $11.68 a frame, and the 4080 is $13.83 a frame. Wow, that's kind of expensive, but looking on the chart of the 4070, it's kind of expensive. I think it's kind of expensive per frame. So, yep, and looking at this, the 5070 Ti being cheaper, not by much, and I mean not by much. If you were down to like $2 to $3 per frame, yeah, I would say that would be a good deal, but being at $9.49 a frame, I don't think that's a good deal. So, but that's just my opinion. I hope y'all take it with a grain of salt or take it like gold. I always say that, so that way you can either have it either way. So, that's examining the price versus the value. Each one of them's got the price right next to it, and price per frame. That's pretty much cost a frame. So, to me, I don't think it's that valuable. Not when it's not that far off from my 4070 not being that valuable. So, Now let's see. Let's talk about the strengths and weaknesses. Okay. The strengths and weaknesses. Well, let's see. That'd be like the pros and cons. So let's see. The pros are this: that it's faster than the 4070, the 4070 Super. It's faster than the 4070 Ti. It keeps in line with the keeps in right behind the 5080, which the 5070 Ti keeps right around the 4070 Ti Super. It evens out with the 7900 XTX. It has, as far as connection for the monitors, it's got DisplayPort 2.1a. Well, I'm not going to bring up the HDMI 2.1a because it's always had that. No, it had 1.4. So, yeah, it was the HDMI 2.1a that it moved up to. Power consumption, it consumes over 335 watts. Compared to if you got like a 4070 Super, which is pulls like 250, 260 watts. Or compared to the 4070, it only pulls 200 watts. So it is going to be a watt monster. So do expect to spend a little bit on the energy for this card. As far as speed, it has, and this is a positive, it's got PCIe 5.0x16, it's got GDDR7, and it's got 16 gigs of it. And it's supposed to be having multi-frame generation and all the bells and whistles for the new software. Speaking of software, the Physics X 32-bit has been discontinued off of the 50 series. So if you're playing older games, then the particles and everything else, don't expect it to be there because it's discontinued on the 50 series. 40 series it's not, but the 50 series it is. So I'll push that into the con category, the Physics X. So, and also too, with multi-frame generation being on, people are complaining about artifacting. They're seeing artifacting, blurring and stuff like that. Maybe because they need to turn motion blur off, who knows. But I really don't see that many cons. I don't really see that many cons to it, pros and cons. But overall, the strength of it, if you're coming from, let's say, a 10 series to a 16 series to a 20 series graphics card, and you're moving up, and you don't mind paying the price, and that's another thing we're going to get into, the pricing. Does it really justify the pricing? Let's go to Amazon and see what we can find, and then Newegg and Micro Center. This isn't Graphics Card Nightmares. That's coming up on Friday. So this is just taking a poke at and seeing where the 50 series is as far as product. So let's go back to the action screen. Now, let's see. Let's go to Amazon. And let's type in the 50 RTX 5070 Ti. Oh, you can get it with a pre-built. Let's see, $1,940. Huh. They put it right below a 4070. Nice. So, PNY, This PNY version, this is supposed to be $750. They put it for $1,940. Ridiculous. And let's see what else we can find. Outrageous pricing. I don't even know how Amazon is holding up at this. I mean, I really don't know. They got a 5080. It's not what we're looking for. But they're used. And people are doing the refurb thing, selling it for over, jeez, I would never pay that. So, it's a bust here. It is a real big bust. So let's go to Newegg and see what we can find. 5070 Ti. See what we can find. Out of stock. And this is launch day. This is crap. This is crap. The $750 is out of stock. That is some serious crap. They got a release date on was that January, February, March, April the 30th to buy this one right here with the 5070 Ti. April. The end of April. That is crap. This is released tomorrow. And this has got 7800X3D, 5070 Ti, 5600 megahertz, 32 gigabyte DDR5. Oh my god. Assembled in Utah, USA. Genuine Windows 11 home. I shake my head every time I see this goddamn crap right here. They put the home edition on, being this is a $2,200 PC. Pre-built. Get serious. Put the Pro edition on. Stop being cheap. There's only a $5 difference from getting an OEM key that's home and Pro. Get a Pro key. Stop being cheap asses. Ridiculous. I mean, can't get any more ridiculous than this. $2,000 PC. Yeah. Let's see, a 5070 Ti. And you guys put a 750 watt power supply in it. Give me a break. For $2,000, you should be putting 1,000 watt power supply in there. Because if we go and do the math, you know, and let's say we go to PC Part Picker, right? Let's just do this. We'll go to PC Part Picker, right? And we'll go to the builder section. We have nothing here. Okay, so now let's go back to Newegg. Let's say this one right here. Okay, it's an iBuyPower Slate Mesh 8. We'll get to that in a moment. It's an Intel Core Ultra 7 265. So we go and we look at the CPU. And we could probably type in 265. Ultra Core 7 265, $365. And it's in stock. Okay, so now I'm just going to do this really quick with you guys. Now we can do the RTX 5070. Now we can do the RTX 5070. We go to video card. RTX 5070. So we type in the 5070. And see 5070 Ti. It doesn't even come up with the price. So it's going to be hard to tell you what the price is. I can tell you it's going to be over $1,000. Okay. So I can tell you it's over $1,000. So we got two pieces. We got the first piece at $365. We'll get the calculator out since everybody has to hide the prices. So we'll just get the good old calculator out. So we'll do 365. We'll add 1,000. That's $1,365. I know you guys are going to say, Jay, you're getting close to the price. Yeah, I know. 2 terabyte NVMe SSD. You can get that for, we'll see. Storage. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do, oh, it's 2 terabyte. Yeah. Let's see, 2 TB. What comes up? Let's see, 2 TB. We got a Seagate constant. Well, we got to look for M.2s. Okay, so we'll go over here to the interface. We'll go 4.0 M.2. And we'll look for a 2 terabyte M.2 to add to the price. Let's see. We got one right here for $88.99 or $88.74. Oh, $88.89. So let's say, okay, now we can go and put $88.99. Add that. Okay, so now we're still looking. We got the drive with DDR 32 gigs. I'm going to put $104. Okay, I'm just going to add the $104 because I know the price of that. You can get it cheaper, I know, but I just put $104. Okay, so now we got that, we got that, we got that, we got that, and the Mesh 8, let's see. The PC case with the fans and everything else, I'm going to give that $100. I'll give that $100 because I know what I paid for mine and it looks similar to it. So, and we add, if for 750 watt you add $69, so we'll add $69. Okay, and what else? What else? So we got the graphics card. We got everything in here. We got everything in here, it looks like. Well, the keyboard and mouse you can add on $35. Cheap keyboard and mouse. So, let's see, we got the 265, we got the 5070 Ti at their so-called $1,000 price. 32 gigs of DDR5 and 2 terabyte. So, if we think about this, if we think about this, what can we do to make this better? Well, we could add another 32 gigabytes of DDR5. That's one. We can take and we can add in a 4 terabyte and or another 2 terabytes NVMe SSD, because the motherboard will handle it. Oh yeah, we got to add on another $129 for the motherboard. Okay, so $129. I forgot that one. So and minus that from the 2100. So you got $209 extra. So you can still add another 32 gigabytes of DDR5 and make it 64 gigs. You can add another 2 terabyte hard drive and make that 4 terabytes. And also too, you can probably change out the cooler that they got for that $20 cooler, so minus $20. That's already come in the case. So you could probably sell that and sell that for $20, that cooler, and then get a 360 millimeter AIO for $55, which I know you can. Thermal right. Oh. You know why it keeps adding? So basically, you're still left with 164, let's say 160, 164 bucks. Thinking about it, or you take still left with $64 because you got to take off the 100 for the extra RAM. So now you're left with 64 bucks. What can you do to make it better? That's up to you. I just pocketed the 64 bucks and keep it for a game. You can probably get a Steam game for that, and guess what? Now your computer is actually worth $2,100. Now it's worth $2,100, and you get a game out of it. You get more RAM, you get more storage, just for this build alone. If you were to build it yourself, you could probably save money on the case and get a better case and compile it in with this $100 case and get since you got extra 64 bucks, you could probably get a nice Lee & Lee case or something like that with some decent fans or whatever. You can do many things you want with the case to make it worth $2,100. This is not worth $2,100. iBuyPower, I never tried your product. I wouldn't mind trying your product to see what it's about, to give my opinion on it. But I can tell you right here, it's not worth $2,100. Guarantee it, it's not worth it. So, and they got this one here with the 285 for $2,300. So you add a 285K instead of a 265. That's where the price difference is, and you get everything else the same. 750 watt PSU, which you should go up to 1,000 watt for this price. I don't know. But look at here, you got 2349. This one's got a 9900X. Guys, this is the reason why I stay away from pre-builds. Is because it's nothing but a disaster build. Some people like them, some people don't. I've dealt with them for many of years. Back in the early years. They're nothing but problems. Nothing but problems, especially when they come with software that you need the, pre-install the software, or it's pre-installed software and then you get backup software which doesn't work half the time. It's all bull. It's all crap. So, but looking at this, it doesn't look like Newegg's got any other graphics card, but they're all pre-built. They're all pre-built. This is wrong. Let's go to Micro Center. Let's see if Micro Center is doing the same thing. Micro Center. Let's see. Micro Center. Let's see. RTX 5070 Ti. Now, let's scroll down. Okay, I'm going to give this to Micro Center. They kept it at $750. This is launch day. I will give it to them, but you got to buy it in the store. Sorry guys, this is buy in store. You can't get it outside of Micro Center. You can if you can find them, but I can tell you it's dwindling. Very much dwindling. Okay, so the 5070 Ti in gigabyte, they got two of them right here, 979, 969. Asus, 979, 980. $900 gigabyte. Power spec, they're doing the same thing too. They're selling it with the whole PC for $2,500. Ridiculous. Gigabyte's got the Eagle for $750. So they got two variations. They got the Gigabyte Eagle for $750. The 5070 Ti for $750. Not bad. I will give them credit. That I'm going to give them credit on. Okay. They got the Vanguard for $1,010. Yeah. Unless you want a pre-built, it looks like that's the only thing you're going to be getting right now. If you can't get there and buy a graphics card, it looks like you're going to be buying a pre-built to get the graphics card. You're going to be left with no choice if you don't get in line and get it right away. So, if you're near a Micro Center, God bless you, because I'm not near a Micro Center. I'm 6 hours away. So, just barking Micro Center's ear, tell them go over and check JJ's PC builds. Not Jay's 2 cents. JJ's PC builds. Two different animals. Two different reviewers, not animals, but you guys know what I mean. Whatever. So, but anyway, I think we pretty much come down to it. I'm going to take and close that off. And I'm going to come over here. And this is the final verdict. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. If you're new to building computers and stuff and you want to build your first computer, but you're on a semi-budget and stuff like that, and you can afford $750 if you can find these graphics cards for $750, then yeah, the Asus Prime is really good, or you can get the Gigabyte one, the Eagle. They got it at Micro Center for $750. How long that price is going to stay like that, who knows? Who knows? But it looks like they got it right now at that price. So, but they got a bunch of $900 ones. Doesn't look like I see any that says sold out yet. So that's telling me they got something there. Newegg's got a little something that's, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to bother with Newegg or Amazon, because right now it looks like a good shit show at Amazon and Newegg. Until they clean that mess up and they start getting in a bunch of decent cards for sale, I'm not going to recommend you guys go to either one of those, because I don't believe in them jacking up the prices over the MSRP that high. But at least Micro Center, if you got one close to you, I know some people don't, but if you do, God bless you. So, but my overall opinion, like I've been trying to tell you guys, would I buy it? Maybe. Maybe. But knowing that the Physics X they cut off the 32-bit Physics X, that's kind of a red flag. That is kind of a red flag. The pricing that they're doing is kind of a red flag. The artifacting that happens sometimes is kind of a red flag. Now, also too, probably they got a wattage limiter on there. That's kind of a red flag. Not much, but I don't mind them to have a limiter on there, so that way you don't go over a certain amount of wattage and kill your power connector, and you don't kill your GPU. I don't mind that being there, that wattage limiter. I think that's a good idea. They should do it with all their GPUs and set the limit of how much watts each one of them put out. This way you can't brute force it or anything else. It's stuck at that wattage limit. Not unless you know what you're doing and you can take and do a shunt crossover to where you can bypass the limiter and go from there. But I wouldn't advise it if I were you. If you're going to buy a graphics card, buy it for what you want it for. That means buy it for what your intentions and worth is. What you want to get out of it. So if you want to get 400 watts, then go with a 5080. If you want more than 575 watts, go with the 5090. If you want 300 to 320 watts, then go with the 5070 Ti. If you want something that's between 250 and 300 watts, then go with the 5070. That's the 50 series right there. So you can make up your mind in how you want to take and venture into this animal. I call it an animal, but this avenue as well, and make your decision from that, and really decide if that's going to be what you want to do. So, but anyway, this is the end of the video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know when I post the next video. Until the next time, in the next video, you know what it is, and we'll see you on the next one.